Yet more parts have arrived. So we have these new oil seals that go in here. So that's a possibility. That's, I think, the most likely problem with this oil leak. But then I've also got a big O-ring here, which is, I'll show you in a minute, but basically that is a thermostat, I think, oil thermostat. And then there is one more as well, which is sort of a little metal ring, which is some kind of other sensor. And a bottom hose. I'm trying to be positive, think positive thoughts. But I think I spent about 4 or 5 hours, well, easy 5 hours, getting this stuff out. It just takes so long to do these things. Like, you just think, really, I've done about 10 bolts to get that out, and it's taken 5 hours. So it should be easy getting it in, shouldn't it? But every time I look at this car, every time I do something on this car, it takes 2 or 3 times longer than I anticipate, and with more and more problems. So I'm trying not to be negative, but I'm struggling. See how we get on. Firstly, I'm going to take before I put the oil cooler back in, I'm going to get the other bits out on top. It's probably slightly better access, but still really tricky. So first, the oil temperature sensor, I think it's called. Okay, that's what we needed. So we've got this seal around here, very flat, so it could well be not perfectly sealed. I've got my spare seal there, so I'm going to take this one off, put that back, put the new one on, and then going to put it back in before I go any further, because that is a rather large hole in the top of the engine, and I'm nervous anything dirt, etc. will drop in. So I want to get this out back in before I take the next thing out. So I've taken the actual sensor, I think that's an oil pressure sensor, but it's not that I need off, it's the thing it screws into. So back to it. So I just need to remove that, which doesn't look in great condition, looks a bit corroded. Remove that, put the new one and bolt it back in. There is a little bit of evidence of some sealant. I just don't think it's... My gut feeling is not to do it. Not to put sealant on as well. But the other half of me thinks, well, got this far. So I'm going to just try and show you the difference on these. Well, there's a bit more width to that one. Same part number, so I'm assuming it's just the fact that one's squashed and used. It's also, might be able to see sort of a rim around there. So it's definitely got wear on it. Well, that rim though, looks like it should be there. Or is it just the way it's been squashed in the middle? Anyway, by the by, we have new ones. I'm going to go fit them. Fingers crossed we can get out for the week. It's Friday today. There's an event on at Bicester Heritage on Sunday morning, like a coffee run thing. So ideally, I want to take that. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to just put some oil on these. Got a little cup of oil. Just gonna put the oil on first. Seems the most logical thing to do, so we don't get any. It just should just slip on there. So let's see if we can. Also, they should sort of stick in place. So when I put the cooler back on, I'm hoping it doesn't do what the light just did and fall off. They're all in place. As you can see, lovely jubbly. So now it's time to get the actual cooler on. Access is super tricky here to try and get these nuts started. Right, so if that's started, I'll get them tightened up. So new oil pipe, lovely. These are the original, or the previous Jubilee clips, which is a weird thing to get impressed with, but look at that for a bit of quality. So I've been debating whether to fit this bit of cowling back, because this is the one that's really awkward to fit, and you have to take the fuel injectors off. But it does direct air straight into that cooler, so I think I'm going to back myself and fit it now, because to fit it afterwards, whilst on the positive I'll be able to see in better, to see the oil leak if it reoccurs. But on the other hand, just got to go for it. Should be fine. Right, I think I'm done. So let's try it. So I go in with the torch, have a good look round, and what do I see? I see oil. Right, so all of that wasn't necessary, but you know, rubber seals need replacing, so I'll console myself with that. But I'm pretty sure now, having looked at it, and particularly when I went back in after it wasn't running, the actual fuel pressure sensor is coming out the top of that, so it must be that's that. When I first went back in, there's a little ring of oil on there, and I thought, oh, is that residue? Which I was pretty sure it wasn't, because I'd cleaned it all. So at least I think it is that. So they're sort of cheap and cheerful. So I've just ordered one. So the wait continues. Feel like I've been waiting a long time for this, but that is the pressure switch that I believe is the problem. So let's get cracking, get it fitted, fingers crossed. Right, here are my two, that's the old pressure sensor, that's the new one. So well, what it appeared is that the oil was coming out of here, around this little rim here. So I'm hoping the new one solves that problem, but whilst I'm at it, this goes into another union. So you've got under here, you've got another union which goes into the block, and that's got a metal like crush washer. And thankfully someone in the comments mentioned you should check the torque on that, because if it doesn't crush properly or it crushes too much, you'll get another leak. So I've got my torque, my little torque wrench, and 20 Newton meters according to the book. Again, another comment was a particular book to buy. Let me get that, hang on. This book, Wayne R. Dempsey, 101 Projects for your 911. I've had it about 2 months and I've just started to read it, and it's so good. There's so many useful things. So I should have got that earlier, so thanks for the comment. Look, it was a little while ago. So let's get this done. Let's try again. I think actually also, I think some point, you know, I said about the Porsche guys having a little problem with the getting the tick over sorted. Last time we tried it, when the oil leak came back, it wasn't ticking over when it's cold, so that might be something else, but hey, let's not worry about it right now. There doesn't seem to be any leaks. There's a little bit of smoke, but I think that's just residue. I've had a look under. There's a little bit of oil here and there, but I think it's just residue. Now it's warmed up. Any solid oil that was stuck is now dripping, but it's not dripping, it's just there. But I can't see any fresh source of oil, so one thing for it. Give it a drive, see what we uncover. This car feels great now. Oh, just so nice to drive. When it's running properly, like now, everything's better. The gear change is easier. It just works. So I'm happy at last. And it just, yeah, it's not slow. It really isn't. You know, that's 60 miles an hour, just that quick. It's plenty fast enough, and it feels good. It feels enjoyable. Oh, I'm just so glad I can drive it again. Let's hope all that oil situation is behind me. I'm going to go and get it washed, give it a little treat. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you for all the subscriptions so far and the likes and the comments. Comments are proving to be really useful. So thank you very much, and please help spread the word and keep this going, because I'm enjoying myself. So it'd be nice to carry on just doing this sort of stuff. So see you in a few weeks probably.